Yeah, it's a good continuation.
That was a lot of years ago.
Once in 4-H, always in 4-H.
Yep. Alrighty. First resolution I have is we finally got all the documents we need to process our contract with Medical Mutual for our health fund benefits for their employees. And this is to enter into the agreement.
For the 1 year period.
2020, yeah, we'll do them
Hours,
only
lots
at
of
one
hours.
fell swoop, yep.
Okay. I'll make a motion the Board of Commissioners agrees to enter into an administrative services agreement with Medical Mutual of Ohio for the Portage County Employees Health Benefit for 2020.
Second.
Roll call, Amy?
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Okay, and the next agreement is for Cranberry Creek Phase 3. This is for the ability to go, the board to sign the escrow and the performance agreement for the construction. Back in 2017 or prior to 2017, these documents were done between the county engineers, construction person, Mr. Jendersek, and the contractor. And then when we got a new prosecutor, assistant prosecutor, and they started looking at the documents and said, you know, well, these need to be signed by the Board of Commissioners. So since then, we've been bringing them forward to you. And this is phase number 2. And this is the portion, the street, storm, sewer, and drainage is the portion for the county engineer.
Okay. The Board of Commissioners agrees to accept the escrow agreement, performance agreement for construction of street, storm sewer, drainage improvements for the Cranberry Creek Phase 3 subdivision in Brimfield, Ohio Township.
Second.
Roll call, Amy?
Sabrina?
Abstain?
Vicky? Yes. Kathleen?
Yes.
And then likewise, number 3 is the same information. This, these will be an escrow agreement and a performance agreement for the sanitary or water resources department for the sewerage portion and water improvements for the project.
Okay. The Board of Commissioners agrees to accept an escrow agreement and performance agreement for construction of sanitary sewage and water improvements for Cranberry Creek Phase 3 subdivision in Brimfield Township.
Second.
Roll call, Amy?
Sabrina?
Abstain?
Vicky? Yes. Kathleen?
Yes.
And that's it. Did I?
Macy went around.
Sure. No problem. That was quick. You guys only see part of what I do, right?
So moving on to the miscellaneous items. Right, we have left.
Is Mickey coming in today? No.
I think so.
Okay, so the Board of Commissioners approves the February 27, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Roll call, Amy?
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky? Yes. Kathleen?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, on this resolution, we had a meeting like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Why hasn't this been resolved in that 2 weeks, the attorneys and everything? Why is it just now being addressed?
We just talked to Brett Benz this morning at 8 o'clock.
But why is that though? Why wasn't you?
Brett was out of the office.
Okay.
And it took a while for the prosecutor's office, Chris Maduri, just now. Brett Benz asked this morning at 8 o'clock for us to come before you and asked that you wait or
Postpone
recommend,
it.
postpone it until you get a recommendation from the
Well, let
prosecutor's
me ask you,
office.
isn't that kind of 2 parts though? We're ready to approve it, but this 1-year maintenance is what's in question, correct?
Yes, and that's the opinion we're asking from the prosecutor's office.
Right, so we can approve it today as far as us taking it, but then that's still up in the air as far as the 1 year.
Right, but we just ask that the escrow doesn't get returned until that final part gets resolved. because that's part of it, is retaining the escrow.
Do we know why, because it's in the sub-regs that happens, do we know why the engineer is not in
That's,
favor of that?
that's what the litigation is.
Yeah.
My understand, and I don't know, I'm going by a conversation I had last night with Dave McIntyre. I'm understanding that there's a punch list, and that wasn't finished until just now.
Right.
Is that correct?
Right.
So that's why it wasn't brought to us a year ago or whenever.
Right, and according to subdivision regulations, I don't have the verbiage in front of me, but it's once you recommend, and our liaison, which is Brent Benz, is an agreement that once you approve it, that's when the 1 year.
The 1 year starts.
And who is disagreeing with that? Who's
The
attorney?
engineer's office.
Their attorney?
No,
their
they're,
attorney?
well, we don't know, I can't answer that because
Okay.
they're
Oh, I
the,
thought there was two attorneys involved.
well, there's,
Yeah.
it's the same prosecutor's office, but
Oh,
Brent Benz
Different
is-
attorney.
Okay.
is our liaison, and David
Garnier.
Oh, okay.
is the liaison for that. So Chris Maduri, which is over top of both of them,
Right.
they're gonna plead their,
Well, you would think they would have done that already. I mean, it just seems like,
well, I can't.
This is
Right.
Well, I was surprised
It's out
to
of our
see it on
hands.
our agenda so soon, because I thought they had quite a little ways to go.
Yeah,
So I called Dave last night
well,
as
they
well.
did the core samples. They don't have a ways to go. It's just this year is what the disagreement is.
Yes, correct, that's all we're,
They're
Well,
saying
that's
the
what I'm
roads are
saying,
good.
but the punch list was all done, and you did the core sampling, and it was fine. And now the issue that I
It's just-
understand is the 1 year maintenance
just when
agreement.
it begins, yes.
Just when it begins.
And then how much was to be held, which wasn't, in our opinion, wasn't done properly, but what is there, we don't want released for 1 year. Because there
Mr.
is,
Bostow, do you have something?
Yeah, I'm a
Dan?
developer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm already in my 3rd year on this project. And I think what Mark is saying, I don't agree with, because my year started about 2 years ago. And they took core samples, and the cores are all above how thick the asphalt was supposed to be. And I looked at them yesterday, and I'm sure the county
yeah,
was there.
that's
and-
not our, yeah, it's
I'm
not
sure
our
it's
contention. Our contention is when it starts, and the improvements weren't finished until just recently. The
No,
last
that's not the way
the
it
last
is.
sidewalk was just poured just less than a month ago.
I think the
Well-
confusion here is that it's more than just the road improvements.
Yeah, it's not just the road, it's the improvements of the
the
entire development.
development.
You take a cornfield, and it's everything you have improved. It's not just the roads, not just the
No,
engineers.
I'm requesting that commissioners accept the roads, that's all I'm here for. And I
But
don't-
it doesn't get broke down like that, that's our contention. It's all improvements.
I don't believe that, I don't know
Well,
for
the
sure.
subdivision regs say all improvements, it doesn't separate
Is that what's in
roads.
our letter?
Yes.
The sub regs?
Yes, it says all improvements.
Okay.
And somehow it gets misconstrued that the roads are separate from any other improvement, and the engineer is responsible for the roads, the sidewalks, the curbs, and storm sewers, I do believe, off the top of my head. Then water resources is responsible for sewer, water, the fire hydrants, etc. But there's other improvements that are made, the open space, the drainage, the seating. There's the whole gamut of improvements that, when it says all improvements, it's not just the roads. The engineer's office is appealing to you to accept the roads. Our contention is that's fine and dandy, but it should really go through regional planning, who is the head, the very first person in charge of the whole project is regional planning. So our contention is that the engineer's office should say, okay, the roads are ready, and give a letter to, in this case would be Todd Peets, Director of Regional Planning, and then he would come before you and say, the storm sewers are in. He would put together and compile an outline of all the improvements that are ready to go, so that when you actually accept you don't just accept part of it, you accept the entire.
The resolution is just stating the roads though.
Yeah,
That's the
but our
resolution.
contention is you don't break that out. It's all improvements.
Well, who wrote the resolution?
I feel like Mickey should be here.
Somebody should be here.
Right, I mean,
This is a lot of legalese.
Right.
Well,
And
it-
our standard is we don't have resolutions that are just,
All we're asking for is that you wait on the opinion from the
Yeah.
prosecutor's office, and maybe that'll clarify some things, because we don't have that answer, and that's all we're asking for, is just legal opinion from the prosecutor's office. Once our liaison, the engineer's liaison gets with Chris Maduri, who's the lead
No,
prosecutor.
this is like the Board of Election thing, except more serious. We just keep kicking the can
Yeah.
well,
down the
except
road.
for the Board of Elections thing, we have the Board of Elections here.
Right.
I mean, this
Oh,
is
yeah, but what I'm saying
unusual
is we
that
put this
don't have
off, we
anyone
put this
here.
off,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, but is it my responsibility then to plow the snow and all of that?
Our contention is yes.
Yeah, according to the subrigs, that would be included.
You know, there's two differences of opinions here. Mr. Bossoff saying, I've been doing this for 3 years, so
Exactly.
2 years over what I should have been doing it. And
That's correct.
they're saying, the township is saying the roads weren't ready to be accepted until just recently because there was a punch list that was not completed.
Yeah, our contention is each item has to go through 1 year. So until you finish that, you can't grandfather something that was just done a month ago because it didn't.
It was done last fall.
But we just had a sidewalk poured a month ago.
So
that
you're-
piece of sidewalk.
What you're saying then, until the last lot is sold, you don't accept anything because you don't put the sidewalk in until the houses are built.
That's not the way it's supposed to work.
That's what you're saying though.
No.
My contention's different too of,
I mean, how long do I have
we should
to?
wait because we don't have the engineer here
Right.
to present his resolution, like we
Yeah.
are doing for all of our.
Well, that's why I asked if he was
resolutions.
coming in today, because this has been a hot button for some time.
I received a call from Mike and he said it was fine to go through.
Well, he's not here to
That's-
answer questions though.
Yeah, we've got,
Well, I can,
Not
I
our
mean, we can-
process. I mean, that's
we can
nice.
Over here.
It sounds to me like though there's attorneys working on this. There's
Yeah.
definitely a disagreement about this. Did Mr. Bossoff get a copy of this?
We just did that at 8:20 this morning after talking to Brett.
he doesn't have a copy of it.
There was just a meeting yesterday at 1:30 with
Do
Larry,
you have a copy of this?
both prosecutors, and they didn't get out till 4 o'clock yesterday.
And what, did they come up with anything or?
They went to Chris Maduri at 5 till 4 yesterday, and that's where it was just asked if you could just hang on until you get an opinion.
Postpone it until we get it. So we're supposed to ask for a legal opinion from the prosecutor's office?
I'm asking you to ask for a legal opinion from the prosecutor's office. We can, I mean, we already asked, and we're gonna get that, but we're asking that you ask with us for the
My
legal.
contention is I work for the county engineer and he has approved everything. He's recommended that the commissioners.
Our contention is he only covers roads,
I was
sidewalks.
never told that. I mean, right now.
That's subdivision regulations, sir. I'm not trying to,
Well, let's-
it's all improvement.
Let's hold
Doesn't the
off
county
and say
engineer
if
know
we
the
need to
regulations
delay
then?
this until
Our
at least
contention
next
is no.
Yeah,
So
we're gonna
not make
postpone
a
it today.
decision today. We may make one next week if we can
Get enough
get this resolved. We
information.
certainly would need to have the engineer here to have that
But
discussion.
with his scenario, I'll never get done. I mean, if you'll find something else and then it'll be another year and then
No.
it goes on and on. My roads are completed, to the satisfaction of the county engineer. You
There again,
never had an inspector out there.
We're just talking about one aspect of it. We're talking about all improvements. And we're asking that all improvements go 1 year, just like subdivision. Subdivision regs are pretty clear. They state, once the board accepts the road, there's a 1-year maintenance period.
Apparently, the county engineer doesn't know that.
That's what we're.
So why?
Gentlemen, we need
Yeah.
to keep
Yeah.
going with our meeting,
Right.
so if you could continue this discussion.
I appreciate it.
outside.
Thank
I will
you.
be delaying.
Yeah, we'll
Well-
postpone
this
it
week.
until we find some more information out or get a hold of Mickey and Chris.
Thank you.
All right.
So what's our solution here then?
We don't have one today. We're postponing it so we can get more information, or at least get the proper people here that can discuss it with us to help us with our decision.
But do I plow the snow again? I'm not getting any tax
I-
money. Do I plow it for 3 years, or I've already, the township, the last couple, not this last year, but they plowed it. I never heard anything about it. They took care of it, they plowed it. But this last year, it was, they said it was up to me, although the road has been in 3 years.
Why?
It was an
So,
emergency
what-
situation, and he was responsible for it, and it was for the safety of the township residents. There was ice on the
Does this
road.
happen, you know, Rootstown's had a lot of subdivisions being built. Does this happen every time?
Pretty much, yes. It's finally come to a head,
And
yes.
Wow.
And there are new subdivision regulations which we are
Are in the
involved
works,
with, in the works.
yeah.
These are 1984 subdivision
and they're
regulations,
very
so they're
old.
kind of outdated and antiquated, if you will. So we're working on new ones to clarify some of these gray areas, so to speak.
You know, I don't think we can advise him on whether he should plow the
No,
snow.
that's not for us to
I-
decide.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Thank you very much, I
Sorry.
guess.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll have an answer to you shortly. Just-
All right.
All right, so I have under resolutions, the Board of Commissioner agrees to appoint Lori Michelle Swickheimer to the Ohio Children's Trust Fund Regional Prevention Council.
Second?
This was that resolution that Kelly Jo talked to us about last week, so
Mhm.
roll call Amy.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes, and I'd like to hold on the second resolution on the list.
Oh, okay. You know, we were supposed to have had an answer, I think, was it today or tomorrow?
There is a deadline.
It was
a suggested deadline.
At 5 o'clock
on that.
today, I think it is.
Right, so I'm not comfortable moving forward with that yet.
Because I know Steve had sent us a letter suggesting that we do participate in the One Ohio Memorandum of Understanding. So are you talking with Steve
I'd
correctly
like
or your
to, yeah,
concerns?
and I'd like to look over it some more and kind of see what other people are doing. I know that I know Aurora hasn't acted on this yet, so we're not the only one. And there's just a lot of implications as far as the local voice in the settlement amount. I'd like to do a little bit more investigating, and we may be able to bring it back. I'm just not ready today.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Okay,
So I think that's all we have before us,
so we just gotta recess until public comment then?
So the board will recess until 11 o'clock.
I got a pen now.
Do we have public comment, Amy?
Not that I'm aware of yet.
And public comments from through.
I'm good.
We have a couple resolutions. Chris?
Are you done for now?
Yep, so public comment.
All right then.